Wow, what a guy. Did you guys see? Holy crap. I know, Holy Grail. Did you guys see all the credentials this bastard has? Timeout. He's a phony. He's an imposter. Let me tell you a little bit, something about him. Yes, it all looks great. It does look good that he's a really high-level gymnast. He's invented a move that's named after him. He actually invented a piece of software that was used for the artificial pacemaker. And he's a musician. And to top it all off, he's a surgeon, as you guys know. And he does philanthropy work. And to top it all off, he has multiple companies. And to top that off, he built his own home with his own hands. But this is not to toot my horn here. He's an imposter. Because you know what? He's not happy. He did all of those things so he can have a sense of self-worth. And at the end of it, when he achieved all of that, it was all empty. None of that gave him the self-worth he needed. The problem was that none of that moved the needle for him. Not even a little bit. He stayed exactly where he was. He was looking for the next mountain to climb. So what I'm here to share with you today is literally that. How you guys can capture that happiness that is missing in all of you entrepreneurs. How many of you know of someone has achieved that high level, but is not fulfilled? By show of hand. That's most of you. Some of you are falling asleep. What would you like people to say at your funeral? Have you guys ever thought about that? Do you want them to say, you know what, this guy was famous. He had a photo with JT. He was rich. He was powerful. And most of all, he was really freaking successful. We saw the video. But you know what? What if they say that poor bastard was unhappy? Would you have lived a good life? Of course not. Success is defined not by what we achieve, but when at the end of your life you say, what a frickin' ride. It was amazing. I would do it in a heartbeat again. That's when you're successful, when you don't regret a single thing you've done. Success is also when you hold your promises, when you do what you said you will do. Isn't success based on you not needing anything anymore? When you're whole, when you're complete? When you really don't need anything. You don't have to achieve something to be something better. But ultimately, for me, success is when your life actually matters. When you can contribute to this universe. When you leave a legacy. So what the hell is stopping us from doing all of that? Why are we mediocre at being a husband? Mediocre at being a wife, mediocre in our work environment? Why do we live a mediocre life most of the time? We are great at one thing, but then we suck at other stuff, and we're okay with it. We accept that as a status quo. So, I figured out my truth is that I was under the influence. Definitely not this. And it wasn't this for sure. None of this either. I was under the influence of Slavs. So, I'm going to say something really important. You guys better write it down. As a matter of fact, this is going to be one of the most important things I'm going to say today. Self-limiting, obstructive belief systems. How many of you have one? If you're not raising your hand, you're lying about other stuff as well. I was a little delayed. How many of you believe that you're not good enough in something? That something is missing? Thank you for your honesty. The fact is that you are enough. And when you operate from that enough space, what happens is you actually produce more. You're not afraid of failure. You fail and you get back up because you're enough. And you do it again, and you do it again. Those of you that have read my book, Living Impossible Dream, there is multiple steps in there on how to achieve multiple goals at a really high level. But I'm going to give you one nugget that you can take home with you today. The biggest discovery of my life is that the average human being has way more potential that they can use in 100 lifetimes. We all have so much potential, but we bottle it in. Why do we do that? You might think, you know what? I don't have any limiting beliefs because I have a reason for it. Let me explain this to you. There's a formula. If you've ever said that I'm not good at something or I will not have this because of something else, you have a limiting belief. The formula here is that anytime you point at something outside of you, if it's somebody else's fault, you are running a limiting belief. And the kicker here is, if you don't take responsibility, there is nothing you can change. I'm going to tell you something extremely important. As a matter of fact, I think this is going to be the most important thing I'm going to tell you today. Wait, did I say that? Well, this one is going to be one of the most important things. Your life is designed, and you are exactly where you're supposed to be based on what you've done in the past. Every single step you've taken mattered. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. If you want to be somewhere else, you got to do something different today. Let me tell you a little story. When I was at the peak of my gymnastics career, and I was really buff, as you can see, they asked me, how did it feel to be at the World Championships? How was that? And you know what? When I thought about it, it was just like another day at the gym. It really was no different that 10,000 people were screaming and shouting my name. It was just another day. And the purpose and reason behind that is, it wasn't that moment that defined me. It was the 10 years prior to that. All of those birthdays that I had to miss. All of those friends I had to say no to. All of the alcohol I didn't drink. All the Big Macs I couldn't have. I love Big Macs. I'm sober from Big Macs for the last 7 years. I know, thank you. That was my AA confession. So the journey was important. All of those moments that I was terrified doing the gymnastics skill. Coach says, go up there and do something. And I'm like, I'm terrified. I'm going to fall and break my neck. He's like, do it anyways. All of those decisions that I made to go up there and do it anyways. Because that's really what courage is about, is being afraid and doing it again. That is what mattered. So when I was at the Worlds, it had no meaning to me. And I'm not belittling it. That wasn't the defining moment. It was the defining moment 10 years in process. What are human beings afraid of? Very good. Why are we afraid of failure? Because if you fail, you're not good enough. And if you're not good enough, you're not going to be loved. We are all love bugs. I don't care how jackass you are and what a bad person you think you are. You're still a love bug. Even if you treat other people bad, you still want it. We all do that. You just have a different way of doing it. So we do this for what reason? To get love. So, I have a question. One of the things that we do is we have secrets. We keep those secrets to ourselves, and we hide it. We hide it because we don't want anyone to find out. We don't want anyone to know that we have a secret, because if they did find that out, they would judge us. And if they judge us, what happens? They might not like us. So I have a challenge for you. What secret are you hiding? Think about it for a second. You might be broke, but you act like you're rich. You might be addicted to some kind of an alcohol or drug. How many of you are willing to admit that you're a porn addict? Thank you for your honesty. Give me your site later. Overeating. But you know what's the most damaging one of all? Is when you lie. Not to others, when you lie to yourself. When you lie that you are happy, but deep inside you're dead. all of you, including me, we all have a chain on our foot. Some of you have multiples. The solution is you got to be authentic. You have to be real. You got to let go of that baggage. Be okay with being who you are, with all your flaws. It's okay. That's the only way you can be okay with achieving and failing, because achievement requires lots of failures. Let me tell you guys this little story. There's this boy that I know, and he grew up like a prince. But then, within a snap second, he didn't know where his next meal would come from. He traveled from his home country, and he was going to visit his family, uncles, aunts, in U.S. And somehow he got stuck. On his way to U.S., he got stuck at the immigration in Germany. What was supposed to be a week of stay turned out to be a decade. He got taken in by a friend of a friend who he didn't even know, and he accepted him into his home. He was just a normal kid. He was happy, he was loved, he had a lot of connections, and one day, he tagged along with this gentleman to one of his business meetings. And at that meeting, he ended up, I'm sorry, let's back up. You guys need to know this. Now, picture this. He's in Germany. How do Germans look? They're tall. They have blue eyes, blonde hair. How many of you know who that dude is? Right. And this kid, he was different. He had dark hair, dark eyes, and he had a little fuzz going on up here at a young age. He was kind of like Forrest Gump. He was happy all the time. He had no idea he was different until that fateful day when he went to that meeting that I was telling you about. You would recognize this boy because he was wearing this unique purple jacket. It was an awesome jacket. This gentleman at the meeting looked at him and said, "Hey, dude, what are you wearing?" "What do you mean, this?" "Yeah, that's a purple jacket. It has big buttons. It closes the wrong way. It's a freaking woman's jacket." "Yeah, my mom gave it to me before she left me at the airport." "Dude, why don't you get a real jacket?" "Well, I'm 9 years old. I don't really have money, and that's all I have. It keeps me warm." "Why don't you have your parents send you some money?" "Well, they're far away, and I haven't talked to them for a couple of months." "Why don't you call them?" "Well, I really don't have money to do long-distance calls." That day, this gentleman taught this little boy a very important lesson. That day is when this boy learned that he was not good enough. He was poor. He was being judged for something he didn't have, and it was out of his control. And for those of you that wonder, that little boy was me. That's the moment where my slob was developed. That's the day that I realized I'm no longer a prince. Not only am I not a prince, I don't even fit in. I don't even speak the language. How many of you believe that there is one of those stories inside of you, that at some point in your life, you've had an encounter like that? Thank you for your honesty. How many of you would like to get rid of one today, right now? Awesome. So, one thing you guys didn't know, by the way, something really important is coming up. You know that, right? You're going to write this down. This one is really the most important thing I'm going to talk about today. What you guys didn't know is that I'm actually a magician as well. I know. And while you guys are not paying attention, I put an imaginary balloon inside of your pockets. So everyone pull out that balloon. Come on, pull it out. It might be in your purse, ma'am, because you don't have a pocket, I know. Pull this balloon out. All right, now I want you guys to think. Think about your limiting belief. Pick one thing. What do you think that has been holding you back? You're not smart enough? You're not tall enough. You're not hairy enough. I shave now. Think about that limiting belief. And what I want you guys to do is, I want you guys to put that limiting belief into a color. Find a color, get that color inside of that balloon. Everyone's ready? Blow it into the balloon. Perfect. Hold it, tie a knot. Any kind of knot will do. Hold it up. Are you guys ready? We're going to let this go. Let it go. Watch it go. Watch it go. Watch it dissipate into the sun. It's gone. What if I told you, for those of you that don't believe me, what if I told you that this is how simple you can literally get rid of your limiting beliefs? It comes in a spot, and it can leave in a spot. But there is sources, resources, and tools out there that you need to take advantage of. Okay, I know I'm out of time. If you guys need to know more, let me know. There is a lot more important stuff out there.
Good. One more round of applause for Freddy, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good job, Freddy.